In my escapades of figuring out how to do things efficiently in life, I have realized that a lot of people prioritize the little things, like, for instance, I don't know, food. The little things like having a genuine experience, but when you're on the pedal to the metal, I always say go for efficiency. Efficiencies in life make everything a little easier. I'm a systems guy in general, so I think about these things all the time. I am hired basically for these purposes, to actually create the systems that will allow me to not have to think twice about something that's quite simple, quite straightforward. So, for instance, today I have my good friend and business partner here in town, and we are going to be taking a bunch of pictures, looking around at commercial properties for potential changes in perhaps having a studio set up in Ohio. There's also going to be a lot of obviously just taking pictures and getting into scenarios and taking interviews and doing all the shit that really you can only do when someone's there with you. So I was thinking, okay, do we go to a restaurant, sit down, and, do the usual stuff that people do to act like we're doing work, or do we actually do work? So he's getting ready, and I said, hey, let me just whip up breakfast. I mean, how hard could it be to just say, hey, a couple eggs, a little bread, eat up in 5-10 minutes, and then be done. So I say to you that if you ever end up in a situation where you think to yourself, oh, I need to prioritize these things, usually the little things is going to come from not necessarily thinking about the long-term goal. The essential aspect that is going to make the most out of all of your time, your resources, your energy, you must prioritize long-term goals. And that delayed gratification, I think, is missing in society. So what are some other things that I do for efficiency? First and foremost, I have an alarm that goes up every morning, regardless if it's Saturday or Sunday. That tells me, hey, this is the standard for your weekday. I'm starting to wake up a little bit earlier, around 5 a.m. in the morning, trying to get out of the bed and just hit it running, even if I'm tired as shit. But the funny thing is, when you set that expectation in the morning, everything at night changes. Right, there's a whole different philosophy when it comes to, hey, why am I going to sleep? Right? What is the point? What is the purpose of sleeping right now? It's like waking up early and having a noodle, actually having something, the energy levels to do something with your time. So alarms every day, very, very important. I also make lists all the time, and lists in general, a lot of people tend to shy away from, especially when they're having the conversations, when perhaps emotionally they're invested in having a situation with someone. I say, listen, right, why even have the possibility of forgetting something essential, right? So I tell all my staff, I tell everyone that I work with, that when we're having conversations, be writing stuff down, because I will be. Either if it's in my phone as a note, or if it's on a little sticky pad that I'm rolling around. Lists, notes, very, very important. Completing the circuit, completing the cycle of, say, you find someone that you want to hit up, and then hitting them up, and then actually having the meeting scheduled, and then doing that scheduling again to where it's consistent. All of that can only starts really with the recognition that needs to happen. And perhaps you don't have the time right then in the moment. I try to make the time immediately. I try to, if I need to make a phone call, I'll make the phone call right then. If I need to create the document and I have time, I'll do it right then. If not, it's written down and then I get to it later and I cross out sequentially. The actual feeling of crossing something off your list is also a tremendous way to give yourself satisfaction in terms of moving forward in a perhaps amorphous process. So, lists, setting alarms. I also use Calendly and Google Calendar a lot. These days I have a Calendly hooked up to make sure that anyone or anything that requires a meeting, I have a link that I could say, okay, look, this is my schedule. Here is the things that I have available. Please, please, please have a meeting with me when you have the time. Now, this often means also that we have to do quite a bit of follow-up, because chances are people are not necessarily doing the depth of commitments perhaps that we are. So we have to make sure that those people that perhaps don't have the inspiration, the motivation to have that meeting, that we follow up with them. What does that require? It requires notes. So it's okay. It's the beginning of a content or a customer management relationship software, CRM, customer relationship management software. That comes from the idea of wanting to manage customers in quotations. Leads, networks to me are customers in quotations. Not necessarily people that I want to sell to, but at least partners, right? Honestly, I would like to sell to most of the people that I partner with, but the idea is to realize that as a leader, as someone that's committed to an action, we must have the understanding that, hey, perhaps this person doesn't actually have the inspiration, the motivation that I do. And what is it going to take to perhaps push this person to a point where we can work together? Or if we have pushed, whether or not it's even worth trying to work with someone. You know, there was an advertisement, more or less, that I was watching on Instagram for Dan Locke. And he was saying, you know, what is your ideal customer? He was basically telling his people, what is your ideal customer in life? You know, and he basically created a quadrant system where he was like, okay, well, do you want people that are really picky and stingy? Or do you want people that are not, they're picky, but they're not stingy? Meaning that if they come across something that actually works, you know, will they, at the end of the day, buy from you? Will they, at the end of the day, commit to actually spending the money, the resources, the time to be invested? And he said the funny thing about trying to sell to those types of people is you will only really sell to the types of people that you are like. You will only really sell to the people that you are like. And it's a very simple concept, but very, very important one that I think a lot of us forget. But hey, if we're stingy, if we are hard to convince in terms of if a product is like gold and we believe that it's fool's gold and we're not willing to pay as much for it, right? We won't have the right philosophies to even understand our ideal client. So that requires an internal change in a lot of capacities. Furthermore, in terms of productivity, one of the key things that I like to use is accountability partners. My friend, accountability partners. I can be that for you if you're gunning to make a decent amount of money in life. Or if you're trying to do some philanthropy projects that I believe in, let me know in the comments below and we can work together. But the reality is, we have to understand that we can't do this alone, right? If you take a look at some of the people that are doing the most productive things in society, sure, there's an internal locus of control, and they really are moving with this engine that is unfathomable to most. But they also have tremendous accountability systems in the sense of, okay, well, my assistant or this client or a good friend of mine or a business partner expects XYZ thing from me. Can I execute that? And if I don't, what are the repercussions? And so I always try to build this in for myself by trying to surround myself with people that have those philosophies in life that move things forward, that work every day towards their goals, that don't really make excuses in general about moving forward, because I don't want to be that person myself, so why would I surround myself with people like that? We are a makeup of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. So accountability is a phenomenal way to stay efficient, in the sense that chances are also that the people that are keeping you accountable are pushing ahead on their own initiatives, meaning that it creates a lot more partnership opportunities, a lot more contract opportunities, a lot more networking opportunities in general to be in touch with people that are where or what you want to be in life. It's just a strange law of attraction thing that I think a lot of people forget in trying to be more efficient. We sometimes isolate ourselves, not realizing that there are human beings in the world that share our mentality and perhaps our goals and our vision of things. So on top of setting alarms, lists, accountability, making sure that our network is to the place that we want it to be, so that we don't have to work triply as hard on actually doing the shit that we need to do, you know. Another thing is I'm always training myself. We don't know what we don't know. There was a beautiful thing that Hormozi often says is that in order to make X amount of money, we need to understand that we have a certain ignorance cost. And the ignorance cost is the amount of money we want to make subtracted by the amount of money that we have. Meaning that if you're trying to be a millionaire or have a gross revenue of $1 million or have $1 million in your bank account, how many dollars are coming to your bank account currently? And subtracting that from that goal means that you have basically that amount of money. Say for instance, I make $300,000 a year and that's what enters my bank account. And I want to make $1 million a year. My ignorance cost for making $1 million a year is $700,000. That means that I need to consistently be training myself, consistently be educating myself so that I understand the efficiencies that are required to get to that place, let alone the model, the makeup, the systems that need to be in place for that to be more likely. So I say to you that if you are trying to be the best person, best version of your life, the person that gets things done, the person that has no excuses, the person that moves things along, really moves things along, then you really have to understand that these are essential components. These are essential components of being productive, being efficient in life. So, food for thought, my friend. Hopefully you enjoyed it. It's funny because I'm making food. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you're looking for more productivity patterns or more things that have helped me personally, or even if you're looking to connect for any sort of business ideas or initiatives, you let me know. And currently I am still available. I have time to help out, to make more connections. I'm trying to get to the point in my life where I have so much going on that I have to say no. And right now, I think a lot of people get into a state where they're like trying to make these excuses. I ain't trying to make any excuses. In the next month, if you're an influencer in any capacity, if you know anyone that's doing this type of stuff and actually trying to help people in a business sense or in a personal life sense, hit me up. Let me know who you want me to do an interview or podcast with, an Instagram live with, whatever. Right? I'm in the process of saying, listen, in a month, every month, I want to basically network with 10 people that have more followers than me. I want to be in Instagram live. I want to do interviews, podcasts with people that have a larger audience than me, because that is an efficient way to go about building things. Again, efficiency, right? It's all about efficiency, my friend. You can, if you don't have an engine that's efficient currently, try to get to one that is. Use the engine that you have currently, try to get to a more efficient engine. And then use that engine to get to an even more efficient engine. And sooner or later, your efforts will literally just propagate themselves. It will be an infinite momentum that moves forward. So hopefully you found this stuff useful. If you did, smash that thumbs up button, share, like, subscribe. Throw me a comment if you want to work together. If you want some free information about efficiency in general, let me know. I'll send it over to you. Take care of yourself. Actualize your potential catalyst. This world needs you. Peace.